And welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips along with Ed Smith. We got a really good top story to break to you guys here tonight. The Red Wings get forward Alex DeBrincat from the Ottawa Senators in a trade for forward Dominik Kubalik, Donovan Sebrango, a 2024 conditional first round draft pick, and a fourth round pick, and then they signed DeBrincat to a four-year deal worth $31 million. The average annual value is $7.875 million. So it was only a matter of time. I was sensing it despite that fake tweet from that parody account of Elliot Friedman. But
Yeah,
it was reported.
that phony account and phony tweet was so legit enough that it managed to fool Jamie Edmonds.
Yep.
That says something. I don't know. That speaks to how the lack of blue check
But even that,
verification played into that. But even still, that was quite impressive.
it was quite impressive. But later, just hours later, the deal was done.
hmm So, in terms of the deal itself, considering of what we gave up, I have no problems with it. It seems with Sabrango, he's going to get more playing time in Ottawa than he would here, considering of what we've just added to our defenseman room with regards to recent draft picks and whatnot. Um, Kubalik also makes sense. Kublik, excuse me, makes sense as well because what you're exchanging a forward for a forward, so you got to give something of a cool exchange in terms of positional value, and we're giving up two first round, well, excuse me, not first round, but two draft picks for next season for a player that, as we can clearly tell, wants to be here long term because he had a 1 year 1 year remaining on his original contract before this trade was made. And so one of the main holding blocks that was, or main hurdles rather, that was blocking this deal from being done was figuring out the terms of the contract. How many years, how much, what was the AAV? And in terms of what we heard from Eisman just a couple weeks ago, we know for sure he was not going to be backing down from his pledge of saying, listen, if I'm going to give out a deal to someone, I'm not going to give you 7 years or 8 years. Very rarely I do that. I broke my back for Larkin. That was a special exemption. More often than not, I'm not going to give 7 or 8 year deals. And we saw that being played out clearly evident here in this deal. And in my opinion, this is the deal where Eisman got his cake and got to eat it too. I was expecting maybe he'll give him 6 years, maybe he'll give him seven with a play option. Nope, it's 4 years straight up. And you're giving them with the amount of money that he's paying him too. It's also assuring you that you're not paying him more than you would be paying Dylan Larkin, which makes sense for all intents and purposes, just beyond the common ones. Um, and also, in addition to that, fact once you boil all that together, let's talk about what in terms of what makes an impact for the team. To me, you get the equivalent of injecting this team, which was absolutely anemic offensively last year. You're taking that same offense and you're injecting it with a performance enhancing drug, because that's what Alex DeBrincat can bring to this team, to this offense. He has been a consistent 50-point score, 50 to 60-point score. He's been on average of getting you at least 30 goals or more. He's gotten 40 goals in a season twice before. He was coming off of, as some would say, a middling season, considering the fact that he did only score 27 goals, but that's just one less than he did his rookie year. His actual least amount scored was, I believe it was 2017 or 2018 when he was still with Chicago, when he scored only 18. So I would rather take a guy that I know can get me close to 30, 25 to 30 goals on average, bare minimum, and a guy that can give me at least 50 to 60 points a season, put him on my top line, surrounded by my captain Larkin, surrounded by a guy like Raymond, put him around a young defenseman like Sider that can really feed off of. To me, in terms of swinging for the fences, this is a deal that Eisman had to do. He had to get done. This is year 4 now of his tenure. He had to start making some big moves. He had to start showing why so many people lauded his decision to come back to Detroit. So to me, in terms of getting everything aligned with the draft capital you required, knowing that you had the proper cap space, and oh, by the way, this is a player who has outwardly stated, or at least one way or another, that there was only very few teams that he wanted to be traded to. This was the one, more than likely, out of all of them, that he wanted to go to above all else. Because let's face it, let's not forget, he is a Farmington Hills native. So that's essentially, another player with local roots, local ties that actually wants to be here. And you know what? The Red Wings gave him his wish. And I'm very much surprised at the fact that you're giving the player that's only 25 years old, mind you. He's only 25. But he's getting this type of deal where, you maybe want to be considering giving him another big time contract at the end of this one because of his age. Now, I get it. There may be some concerns about his size. He's, 5'7", 5'8", 180 pounds soaking wet. But to me, if he can show consistency, at the very least, staying healthy, getting familiar and getting playing around guys like Larkin, like the guys I mentioned before, and guys I've yet to mention before, to me, it was just be a matter of let's wait a few games, feel it out, let the process feel itself out. But eventually, this will be in terms of getting the Red Wings closer to, overcoming one hurdle, i.e., contending for a wild card spot, making the playoffs again. This is one big step towards achieving that milestone, in my opinion.
Yep. And DeBrincat scored 41 goals 2 seasons ago and then 27 points, 39 assists last regular season. So that's still pretty darn. Those statistics are still pretty darn good by the year.
Yeah, you take that more 10 times out of 10 easily for this team, without question.
Yeah, Alex DeBrincat is a really good goal scorer and a really good facilitator on the ice. He can even help them out on the power play too.
For sure, without question. This is someone that you needed in your top 9 rotation with Larkin, with Raymond, with Sider, and amongst many others as well. But this is one that you had to, in terms of improving your offense. This is a player that you had to get in terms of trying your best to swing for the fences. I know some people may have wanted Nylander, but to me, this was the better choice. And I'm very much pleased that not only that this is a player that wanted to come here, this is a player that Yzerman got, and he got him under his terms and his conditions. Very impressed with the deal that he got done with this.
Yep. I mean, Nylander was okay, but DeBrincat was clearly better.
And he's younger.
Yzerman, yep. And Yzerman knew it was a no-brainer, went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then before that, the Red Wings placed Filip Zadina on unconditional waivers to terminate his contract. I thought for sure when he cleared regular waivers, he was going to go to Grand Rapids and play for the Griffins and can recondition himself in a stint. But Yzerman had other plans.
And not just Yzerman, Taylor. It turns out, in terms of what we found out through not just the details of this transaction, but also about the comments made by Yzerman himself and the news comments that he gave shortly after the move was done. For all intents and purposes, because the terms, the language of the deal says mutual contract termination. For all intents and purposes, that means Zadina wanted out. Long story short, he wanted to go somewhere else. He did not want to play in Detroit anymore. And Yzerman mentioned that in his press conference, saying that in about the past couple of weeks or so, leading up to the draft, Zadina, through his agent, mentioned or threw out to him that Zadina was interested in playing somewhere else next season. He wanted a fresh start. Now, that's interesting, considering the fact that this was a dude that signed a not a simple 1 or 2 year deal. He signed a 3-year extension last season. I understand he had injuries. I understand that he has not been quite living up to the hype of that was alluded or heaped upon him when he felt it was in the draft. I get that, but you signed a 3-year deal thinking that you're going to be this, you're going to be hot shit and all that, and then 1 year later you want to ask out, you want to walk out. So wow. Yzerman, trust me, I retweeted it. It's on my profile. Just scroll down, you'll be able to see it. Yzerman gave
doing it right now.
Yeah, he gave an explanation as to why he had to deal Zadina. And once you listen to it and hear Eisman's voice and hear his words in that right context, you'll understand why this deal had to be done. I don't want players like that on my team. No way. I don't care if I got to take the cap hit on the last 2 years of a deal, which is almost $2 million on AAV. I get that, but if you're showing me that kind of commitment, yeah, if you don't really want to go to friggin' camp to try to earn your spot back on here, you're outwardly and willingly telling me, or through your agent or whatever, that you don't want to be here anymore. Piss off.
And honestly, I got your retweet from Red Wings Diehards.
Yeah.
Says Filip Zadina has a lot of balls getting a 3-year deal out of Yzerman, only to ask out of the organization 10 months later. LOL. I'm so done with this kid. Kid fell in the draft because he was overrated. Runs his mouth saying he's going to fill nets with pucks, which didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, like to quote one of my favorite movies ever.
If we would have had a competent GM at that time, over Holland, for example, we'd have Hughes or Bouchard in the organization over this guy. Then it was Blashill's fault. He didn't like him or whatever. Sure, whatever. He needed to go. But it's just been all excuses to this kid since draft night over 5 years ago now. This guy needs to shut up and go to work. He hasn't even close to giving Detroit his very best or a fair shot and that reputation, coupled with him never showing up on the ice, is why nobody wanted to trade for him, and likely why nobody wants him for free. The tragedy of Filip Zadina and, of course, Ken Holland fell for it all. Ken Holland drafted that son of a bitch.
Your Kenny Boy's final first-round draft pick. A parting fuck you from Kenny. Lovely.
Get the fuck out of here.
To quote one of my favorite movies ever in Casino. What balls in this? Regarding Zadina, what balls in this fucking kid? Next day, I fired him. So that's exactly what Eisman did.
Yep. I don't have any other way to put this. Get the fuck out of here.
Simple. You don't want to be
Carlin.
Here. Get out. You don't want to
George
be
Carlin.
Here. You're done. You're done.
Yep. Zadina, I was assumed was a whiny.
It's not. He came off as entitled from what I can hear.
Yep, entitled.
Yeah, very entitled. I don't need that type of pretentiousness around my team. I don't need that shit around Dylan Larkin.
No way. Me neither. Nobody does. Steve Yzerman especially doesn't.
Trust me. Once you hear and see that clip, and you can really hear the stress in Eisman's voice as he explains the process of what was going down, you could tell this was a move that, even though he deep down he didn't want to make, he probably was pissed that he had to make, but he knew for the good of this team long term, he had to make it.
Yep. Tigers, they've designated infielder Jonathan Schoop for assignment finally.
Oh God, finally.
Yeah, that was Friday night after the Tigers got smashed by the Blue Jays 9-0 rather, or 9-2 or whatever. But anyway, Jonathan Schoop didn't play in that game, but he got DFA'd anyway. And then Saturday they threw a combined no-hitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Alex Lane blew a save in a 4-3 10-inning loss, the Tigers drafted outfielder Max Clark at third overall from Franklin Community High School in Indiana. And now we got breaking news here. The Tigers at 37th overall in the 2023 MLB draft have selected shortstop Kevin McGonigal from Monsignor Bonner High School in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Interesting. I would sure hope that these are two guys that have at least steady defense.
Yep.
And one of them is got no. I would rather have my shortstop having great defense and my outfielder having a great bat. One of these dudes got to know how to hit.
Yeah, even over Baez.
Defense. Oh, please don't get me started on that train wreck. That hotbed of reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I kept telling
everyone
Javier Baez is arrogant.
in terms of scope, and but we'll get to Javi at another time. We've had enough discourse on him. Trust me, I'm about up to here, beyond done with his ass either. But in terms of scope, um, let's not go over the fact that in terms of he was already below value as is coming into this year, and this was essentially like in terms of when you in hindsight, this is basically like a last chance type of deal, and he miserably performed in that role and situation. He only played 55 games, had no homers, had only 7 RBIs, 213 batting average, had an OPS of less than 600. So when you couple that with the fact that, oh, by the way, Riley Green is coming back from injury, yeah, this was obvious. Get fucked, pal. But anyway, by the way, quick shout out to Riley Green. He went 2 for 2 yesterday against Toronto in the win. Went 2 for 5 again today. Had a big home run, which should have been the difference in this game if not Alex Lang didn't turn into complete dog shit. But anyway, as for scope, yeah, this is a move that needs to be made a long time ago. Glad it was done. Fido, in terms of convenience timing for him, he got sent back down to Toledo.
Deservingly so.
Very much so. With a 1-4 record, with ERA near 7, you're not showing much improvement at this stage of the season. Just go back down to Toledo. Let's see let's see what the rest of the year holds out for you. Erod's not been looking good. He and Lang have been have lowered their value at least. I wouldn't say immensely, but at least in some part over this past month or so. Lang, for sure, he had an absolutely terrible showing in the month of June. ERA in the double digits. Comes in here today, blows up, walks a guy with 2 out in the ninth, gives up a homer, the very next batter, completely blows the save, which, by the way, ruined the start that we saw from a returning Tarek Skubal. I believe this is his second start back from injury. He's looked good in both of them.
Danny Jansen hit that 2-run home run.
Yeah, Jansen was the one.
Lang was only good Saturday in that combined no-hitter because he only sensed that combined no-hitter was coming, and he took advantage of it. But he came back today only to sink back down like an anchor to the bottom of the ocean.
To quote him, I'll just use this to describe that ninth inning. Holy shit! Because you go from because remember the Twins got pounded today as well in their game. So you're thinking, okay, if we win this, and we may very well.
They're now a half game behind the Guardians. The Twins are.
Yeah, and now but still, either way, we could have seen this as a potential way to get within 5 games or so of the division at the All-Star break.
5.5 now.
Or because you screwed up that part. Be lucky it's 5.5 because you're still dangling by a thread instead of it being 6. So
even in the shittiest division. Even in the shittiest division, the Tigers are not even winning that AL Central.
No, they're showing themselves.
The way they lost 2 or 3 to the Oakland Athletics.
The 2 out of 3 games to the worst team in baseball, in those 2 out of 3 games, one of those you lost 1-0 after giving up 2 singles. And
in the 10th.
And the combined
2 singles total. 2 hits total.
In the whole damn game. You gave up a 1-hitter through 9 innings, and you still lost.
You still couldn't score a run because your offense is total fire garbage.
You scored only 3 runs in 2 innings against the worst team in all of baseball, a team that's relocating for all intents and purposes. Okay,
they simply handed that game, period, with authority.
And then you come in today, you're thinking, okay, we have a chance to at least win these, win a series going into the All-Star break, go in, end this first half on a high note. But no, you gave us that. So it shows me that this team is obviously still has many ways to travel, many ways to go to get where they fully need to get. They've clearly been overachieving with what I've seen from them so far this year. But I'll take that over drizzling shits any day, aka what we saw with the Pistons last season. So or with the Tigers themselves, rather. So if you can give me, even if it's not consistent enough, more moderately performing games to where, hey, you're not in contention to win the division, or at least close to it, but you're showing me that you're not regressing. Because I'm not expecting something much this season, but the fact that you're showing this signs of progress, you're thinking, okay, you're ready for the next step, and then you have a Sisyphean moment like you had today, it does get frustrating. So, what else can you do?
Yep. One more time, they drafted shortstop Kevin McGonigal from Monsignor Bonner High School in Pennsylvania checked at 37th overall, not 27th. Yeah, I mistyped. Apologies.
Okay.
37th overall in the 2023 MLB draft. Speaking of the Pistons, they're playing in the summer league again. It's that time of year again in the National Basketball Association, and Jalen Duren has proven again that he can shoot the basketball accurately, shooting lights out.
I won't say completely accurately, but he's showing me that he wants to add more to his game. He doesn't want to just be a paint guy or a guy at the rim that can do dunks or work off pick and roll or be your rim protector. He wants to be more of that. He wants to work in space. He wants to work out in the perimeter. And in fact, you're seeing him taking 3-point jumpers against in this game against the Magic, or showing drop off, drop step, pull up, mid range jump shot, like I saw Bam Adebayo do in the finals against the Nuggets. Hey, it shows me that he's paying attention to film from other players. He's paying attention to how this game has been evolving. He realizes you can't be this one-dimensional type of player in any facet. You got to show more versatile tools, especially if you're athletic enough as is and you're still very young. Why not take advantage of it? I do like the fact that he showed up looking in tremendous shape, looking like he can obviously run up the court, run up and down the floor with ease. And it's just a matter of, as long as you develop better rim side protection, making sure that you can grab not just rebounds, but be a recognizable force with your shot blocking, as well as continuing to develop your adding mid-range jumper and whatnot, your spot-up jump shot. To me, you're showing you have what it takes to be a potential top 5 center in the NBA. Now, that's on the case of Jalen Duren. Let's go to Mr. Jaden Ivey. Let's just get this out the way. He was completely wild and all over the place against Orlando. I thought he was much better in this game against the Rockets in terms of finding players, understanding what to do on his drives. I know he tried to force a couple of shots. He wants to get add better jump, better production to his shooting. But so far, he still has the capabilities of being that driving slasher to the rim with playmaking capabilities. And the fact that he has his tremendous top speed where he can get to the rim just like that draws such attention, to where he can absorb and go for the and one or kick it out to an open shooter. That's good to know. And I'll say this, Buddy Boeheim looked pretty good, looked pretty comfortable hitting his 3-point shots out there. I know it's not saying much, but I'll take a team that has any type of shooting on any day of the week. So it was good to see that out of him. Also good to see what the young rookie Asar Thompson looked in this game in particular. I know it was like a little bit of a feel-out process against Orlando, but in this game, I really liked the attention, the energy, the focus that he was showing on defense. I like that he was able to show that he can be a playmaker in his own right on the offense, and maybe that's something you have to work around if you're Monty Williams in terms of scheme and overall flow, or rather that's something more for Steven Silas to dissect. Because remember, when Cade eventually comes back, you're going to have to figure out a way to where each guy, Cade, Ivy, and now Thompson, is going to have to find ways to work within the same system of sharing the ball equally, working who's going to work off ball, who's going to be that scorer, who's going to be that distributor. Each guy has to be able to find their role and execute it the right way on this team, on this offense. And once you do that, you'll start to see the results to improve. Now, speaking of seeing results improve, I do know that in terms of some instances in this summer league so far, Thompson has been dared to shoot. That was one of the more notable weaknesses of his game, his lack of success with his jump shooting. You saw that in the case here so far. a little bit of Ben Simmons treatment, but again, I don't think it's nothing to be worried or concerned about so far. He's still young. Give me good defense. Show me that you have awareness and the capability to be out there, give your energy on both sides of the floor as much as possible, and the rest will work itself out. I know that he was unable to face his brother today, his twin brother Amin, because he was dealing with an injury in his own right. But it's
I
still
just
nice
heard.
that, yeah, but it was still nice that we got one of the Thompson twins out there for this game today.
Yeah. So, yeah, best regards to Amon Thompson, but Osar Thompson is on the Pistons. Amon Thompson is on the Rockets. Bit of a mouth there, but I'll ignore it. I'll get it later. But wanted to go back to Z- Zadina here. This Zadina stuff from Red Wings die. I got more from Red Wings diehards here.
Oh yeah, oh boy.
Yeah, and then so here we go. I got another one. So for those playing at home with this latest Filip Zadina drama, that is now 3 out of 5 first-round picks, 2015 to 2018, that are no longer the Red Wings organization,
Mm.
with Zadina joining Svechnikov, Evgeny Svechnikov, that is, and Dennis Chalowski. All Detroit has first-round wise from the final 4 drafts of the Holland era and the first 3 to 4 drafts of this rebuild are Michael Rasmussen, middle 6 forward, and Joe Veleno, bottom 6 center. Not ideal and borderline felonious actions by those draft decision makers at this time, including Holland himself, may I add.
Yeah, I mean Eisman is not blameless too, but you can't not ignore the role that Ken Holland did, and why we're looking at the situation that we're at right now.
Absolutely not. But that's why Eiserman came back, and he's been trying for at least a few years to fix all this one one or two one or two steps at a time. So,
I'll say this. We'll probably get. I'll probably mention it though in what we learned though. So I'll let you get to that.
but but yeah, that's pretty much all I have for Philip Zadina from Red Wings diehards. So, yep. So, what did we learn in terms of what we've talked about tonight, Ed?
I would say what we learned today, that there's some people on the Pistons that's worth looking into in terms of proper growth and development, whether it be their rookie year or it's their second year, how they're going to work itself out and balance itself out when Cade is there. Um, I would also say, can anyone still hear me? I'm just making sure because everything just went mute for a second.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Well, okay, no problem.
yep.
I would also say, in terms of what we learned, that the Tigers, you know, I've accepted the fact that they're not really going to be one of those teams that's going to try to push for uh, a division title chase late in the year because this team is just not that talented enough to do it. Even though
Although
this
fans
is,
desperately rave for it.
and they have good reason to because this is the worst division in all of baseball without question. But
Right.
when your team has been built the way they have been, even though that you've gotten little pieces and parts and trying to find a better director to steer the ship, it's still going to take some time. So that's what we learned about the Tigers and what we have been learning, continue to learn about them. And what we learned about the Red Wings is I said it in the tweet when I shared the breaking of the news. Always trust the Iser plan. Steve Eiserman knows what he's doing. He's been uh, practicing patience for a reason in terms when it comes to deals and situations like this. He was patient with the Dylan Larkin situation. He got that done. He's been patient with this situation with Alex. He got that done. He tried to be patient with Zadina, but Zadina wanted to be a punk ass, so he had to do what he had to do. So, in terms of knowing what Steve Eiserman has done before, has done now, and what I believe he can continue to do, it's simple. Trust the Iser plan. Period. I understand people were like, whoa, why are you giving up 5-year deals to
Mm,
Chopper and giving 5-year deals to this guy? It's for a reason, okay? You
Don't be
never
fooled.
reveal all of your chess moves all at once. Just
Copper's really
relax,
good.
guys. Right. Trust the plan.
Gust is
Period.
spare too, especially on the power play.
Right. It's all just a matter of letting things take shape. Just feel it out. Trust
Same,
it.
yeah, same goes with the Tigers with Scott Harris. And Scott Harris has been making the right moves. He designated Nick Maton for assignment, or optioned him to Toledo, and then Joey Wentz to Toledo, and then he just recently DFA'd Jonathan Schoop
Yep.
when, it, yeah, like we wanted him
He's
to
got.
at any
Trust me.
time.
You got to clear. Just like Eisman has to do his due diligence of clearing the shit out of the cupboard that Callahan left him. Scott Harris has to do the same with what Al Avila did with him.
Yep, exactly. Eisenman and Harris have ousted Avila and Holland.
Or at least working on repairing the damage that they left behind.
Yep. Well, I meant position-wise, but yes. Yeah,
Yes.
Eisman has already done his work. Now
Well,
it's Harris's turn.
Not yet, because
Not
you
yet.
still got to get to the playoffs. So I wouldn't say
So,
job is
yeah.
not done yet, nowhere near at all. But this is a good step, very good step done today, though.
Yeah,
I will
get to
give
the
it back.
playoffs first, and then work your way up from there. Win the Stanley Cup. It might take a few more years. So be it.
Oh, it's going to take some time, trust me. But you see the end game goal in mind, and I feel rather that this will get done. Even more. I had even more confidence today in what Eisman can and will do than what I did yesterday, and that's saying something.
Yep. And Troy Weaver moved Dwayne Casey from head coach to front office assistant and hired Monty Williams as head coach.
Yeah, just
For the
another example.
Pistons. Yep. So the winds of change have already come, and they're still swirling in Detroit. And they're gonna start making differences. Like Sheila Ford Hamp hired Dan Campbell, and then they hired their general manager. Yep, and they're building their roster with really good corners, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, Cam Sutton. Those are the secondary defenders for the Lions, for
And then
example.
you added,
that can help.
and then you added to it with Brian Branch as well. So, with Branch in the draft. So, the Lions was another team showing that process as well. So, like you said, winter change, but you still want to see more steps being taken before we start crowning anybody.
Yep, Brad Holmes is their general manager, in case some still don't know. Well, but I'll bet most have anyway, especially
I'm
the
pretty sure.
Lions fans that
I'm
follow
pretty sure.
along.
I'm pretty sure
So,
everyone knows.
yeah, I was just almost forgetting that name, but now I remember it now. But that's what we've learned, and that is another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips, along with Ed Smith. Follow the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Michigan_Truth, and like its Facebook page. Also subscribe to its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Like our videos and turn on all notifications on the bell icon. Follow me on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram at DT2Phillips, and subscribe to my YouTube at DT2Phillips. Also follow me on Twitch, DT2Phillips1984. Also follow Ed Smith on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at EdSmith313, and subscribe to EdSmith313 at Mason Blue Kid on YouTube. Business shoutouts go to
it's Ed Smith 313 on Twitter.
It is on Twitter. Yeah,
I mean on YouTube. Yes, on YouTube.
Thanks very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. So there's that. My mistake. So,
Yeah.
Athletico Physical Therapy on Woodward and Ferndale is the first shout out. Baldwin Family Healthcare of Cadillac. Cadillac Nutrition. Download the Engage app to place an order for an iced or hot protein coffee, energy tea, or protein or post-workout shake. Cali Tickets. Call Mark Goldman at 877-225-8425 or visit CaliTickets.com. Creative Embroidery of Cadillac for designing the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast logo on my long sleeve shirt and t-shirt. Cuts by Melanie in Lake City, where I get my haircuts about every month, by Melanie Rosted. Ito Ramen House in Royal Oak, rated Detroit's best Japanese restaurant for consecutive years, 248-556-5775, or visit itoramenhouse.com. Follow them on Instagram at Ito Ramen House. Delicious sushi and Filipino food. Let's roll with it, rolled ice cream in Cadillac, now branded with the Food Mafia. Like them on Facebook and follow them on TikTok at The Food Mafia LLC. Northern Star Event Rentals, 231-884-8195, and on Facebook. United Food Service Solutions of Grand Ledge, Michigan, and Yen Yoga and Fitness in Traverse City. We'll be back next Sunday night at 10. For Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips, and remember, we observe Michigan sports and we detect the truth. Stay aware and stay on the lookout, everybody.
Stay safe, everybody. Take care.